Welcome to the show. I'm Tomi Lahren. What a night, what a week, what a year. Now we can head into the holidays and get in arguments with family members over who they voted for. Good times, especially if you're on the winning side. Well, at the Blaze, we're kind of like a family, probably one of the weirdest families I've ever seen, but still a family. And the other night we did what families do. We forced ourselves to be in a room together, though we clearly disagree on about everything. Well, Tuesday night, I was the oddball out, the Trump supporter in the room. It was me in the lion's den, and the night started like this. Trump has been the only candidate that has been able to speak about border enforcement.
Words, but his actions.
No, hold on. He's not actions.
Let her speak.
Lawrence, what has he done? Because we're talking about an outsider. Okay, he's hired illegals.
That's illegal immigration.
Has he allowed?
That's illegal immigration.
Hang on, let her talk.
One person to talk at a time, please.
Has he not campaigned on this from the get-go that border enforcement is important to this nation?
He campaigns on it, but he does something different. That's called hypocrisy.
What he's saying is, as a businesssman, I exploited the system, make it impossible for me to do it.
Can I pose a question? I just want to pose a question.
No.
Without getting my head bitten off here. Did you hear what Trump said after the last election about the GOP having to come around on immigration reform? We do.
We need immigration reform, but it has to start at the border because he's the only one, whether you love his wall or hate his wall, I don't care about the wall. He's the only one that's strong enough to come out and say we're not going to coddle illegals anymore.
So you took his comments, so you interpreted
as a businessman, make it impossible for him to do so.
Hey, let each other talk. And don't raise your voice, and don't raise your voice. Let's just talk, please. Do I have to be dad here, too?
It could be a family.
It's a family. All right? Let's talk to each other reasonably.
7-on-1. And I could take on all 7 easily. They laughed at me and my candidate at the outset. All I heard was, Tomi, will you lose with grace? Well, boys, I would have, but luckily, I didn't have to.
What happens tonight if he does lose? And it is close. Does he say, okay, I lost and let's reunite, or does he continue to do what Donald Trump does?
My hope is that he can lose with grace.
So help me out on this. Let's play this the other way. Hillary loses. What is the left going to do?
Stop it. Stop it.
What?
Always going.
Every time you do that, you give these people false hope.
Well, Lawrence, how do you like me now? But naturally, I had to get a few humorous moments in there, lighten the mood for the Never-Trumpers.
The best part about this is that it's very possible that Anthony Weiner cost her this election. Yeah. And that's awesome.
Both Clintons taken down by Weiner. He is so disappointed right now, though. I mean, the intern crop that he was going to have is looking like it's on its way out the door. Well, we just saw, John Podesta come out and say that they're not going to give a concession speech tonight. It's just too early to call. They're going to wait until the morning. Hillary's obviously already went to bed or fainted. And, I had to address the Never-Trumpers in the most Tomi way possible. After tomorrow, though, if we do get Hillary and you didn't vote for Trump, please don't complain about Hillary as your president. You just sit in the corner and look pretty and you fold your hands and you eat a quesadilla and you say, you know what? I'm not going to say a word. I have found that the Democrats are less abrasive and less aggressive towards me. Hillary supporters, less aggressive towards me than the Never-Trumpers. The Never-Trumpers are the most vicious folks that I speak to.
The Never-Trumpers? Yeah.
Oh, God.
I've been called, because I've chosen to back Donald Trump because he's my best chance at stopping Hillary, I have been called a betrayer to my children. I've been called a betrayer to my faith. I'm a Catholic. Because I have chosen this reprehensible human being to back. And I said, have you looked at the other side?
First of all, it's not just the Never-Trumpers that call us that. It's the Democrats. We take it from all sides. So we're racist, we're bigots, we're not conservative.
Us too, and it's a real shame.
We're homophobes. I mean, whatever label you want to throw at us, that's what we are. If you're a Trump supporter, you're pretty much the scum of the earth in many people's eyes. But we're not just taking it from the liberals and the Democrats. We're taking it from our own party, too. If Hillary would have won tonight, I wouldn't sink in a hole and say I'm not an American anymore. I would say,
I don't think anyone here.
No one here would have done that.
No, but
I don't think anyone here is saying
that. I mean, the fact of the matter is that
let's come together, let's work together, because Hillary Clinton, you're right, we all agree she's a horrible, awful candidate in person.
Completely agree with
we
that.
defeated her. My goodness, we defeated the leftist media, thank God.
Which is wonderful, but there's really no silver lining to this, because we defeated Hillary Clinton.
Worst thing that happened,
we defeated the leftists.
You're right, though.
Right, exactly. We defeated one liberal and replaced them with another.
Until tonight, however.
But at the end of the night, about 6 hours in, let's just say America became a little greater.
Tomi Lahren, this is your new, basically going to own the media for the next at least 4 years.
Either way, it's a win. A win is a win is a win. A W is a W is a W.
For all the people behind me that didn't believe it was going to happen, for all the people that on the Democratic side that didn't believe it was going to happen, for all the people on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram that didn't believe it was going to happen, well, folks, it looks like it's going to happen. So now we can either take this time where we can gloat, which we'll do a little bit, or we can take this time to say we're going to make America great again. So on that note, we're just going to drop the mic. One of the nights I'll remember for the rest of my life. See, I could have been at the Trump Tower victory party, but perhaps it was better to witness a room full of naysayers and never-Trumpers get the news and take a big L. Speaking of loss, let's hit up a Hillary supporter. This should be fun for me, not him. That's next.
On the Blaze.
Last night, I congratulated Donald Trump and offered to work with him on behalf of our country. I hope that he will be a successful president for all Americans. This is not the outcome we wanted or we worked so hard for, and I'm sorry that we did not win this election for the values we share and the vision we hold for our country.
Why she and Bill wore matching purple is rather disturbing to me, but beyond that, I think this was my favorite Hillary speech yet. A concession. Joining me now from Team Hillary, Navy veteran and member of the Truman National Security Project, Sean Van Diver. Sean, good to see you again.
Hey, Tommy, how's it going?
You know, Sean, I got to say it's going pretty well over on my side, on my team. But I have to ask, was it, a rough night, Tuesday night for you folks?
Well, I live in California, so locally it was a good night for me, but nationally it was a tough evening. It was something that we didn't expect, and we're disappointed in the turnout, but I think we have our mandate going forward.
What do you think accounts for that? I mean, all the polls seem to be so off, and all of the mainstream networks seem to be so off. Even as a Trump supporter, I knew it was going to be an uphill battle, and I was kind of waiting and ready for Hillary to become our next president. I was going to fight till the end, but I did think that she was going to pull it out. What did everyone get so wrong?
I think the turnout numbers were way off. The turnout projections were way off, would be my guess. But because 6.5 million less people voted in this election than in 12, and it's sad to me. It's sad to me as somebody who fought for our country for 12 years. I didn't fight so people could sit on their couch on election day. And regardless of what the outcome would have been, I would love to see much more civic participation from all sides, because it's incredibly important. It's been really rewarding to me after I left the military in May 2013 to engage locally and nationally in politics, and being able to have my voice heard after serving in silence for so long has been incredibly gratifying, even when we lose.
No, and I think it's important as well, and I think that's something that we say on all sides, is that the vote is very important, but I wonder, Hillary wasn't really able to energize the crowds, and I'm sure, because I heard this all night long, we already heard some of the networks such as MSNBC and even CNN hinting at it, that this is somehow James Comey's fault because of the fact that he reopened that investigation and some of the mysteries surrounding that somehow he played a role in this. I fear that would be the outcome, or that would be the excuse made by Hillary supporters and Democrats around the country. Do you take part in that same sentiment, Sean?
I think there were myriad issues that came to bear on election night, and but the fact is that much of the vote happened before the Comey letter, the first Comey letter, or the second Comey letter came out. Now, I do think that he overstepped his bounds there, and whether it was because he was feeling pressure from either side, that could be one thing. But I think that traditionally the FBI has stayed way far away from any elections, and I think that's a good precedent to set. And I think Comey and a lot of folks have some reflection to do, but you can't blame it on one thing. I think the lies that went from both sides on this election were palpable.
Well,
Well, Sean, I'm impressed that you said that, because I heard that from some Hillary supporters and some Democrats, that this is somehow was on the shoulders of James Comey. And my response was that, Hillary really put that on herself when she chose to have a private server. But I'm glad that you're not blaming it on that. And I think you're right. Voter turnout had a lot to do with it. I think that the polls had a lot to do with it. I think that there were a lot of Trump supporters that were misrepresented or weren't represented in the polls, whether that was by their own choosing or the way the polls were stacked. I'm not sure. But we were in for the surprise of a lifetime that night, for dang sure. But now we're seeing protests and downright riot in the streets because of a Trump victory. Now, where do you stand on that? Because for me, it's rather disappointing to see.
Well, so we have to remember that Hillary did win the popular vote, and so the majority of the country did want Hillary Clinton to be the president. The majority of the people that voted, but that's not how our country works. We have an electoral college, and that's how we fight to win in elections. Now, I saw the chief of staff here in San Diego chief of staff for the mayor here in San Diego posted something about not accepting the election being uniquely un-American, and I agree with that. Everybody should accept the outcome of the election, but it's still okay to protest. Decrying a protest is also uniquely un-American. Our country was founded upon the right to protest.
Well, I understand that, Sean, but do you think that it takes away some of the merit from a so-called protest when you're not really protesting a wrongdoing? I mean, you're not protesting for anything besides the fact that you lost and you're upset about it. Is that really in its nature a protest, or is that kind of more of a tantrum?
Well, Tommy, I don't think they're protesting the outcome of the election. I think they're protesting the person who won the election and the racist and misogynist rhetoric that came across on the campaign trail. Now, I did see some interesting news that could be good. It seems that Trump's campaign insiders were telling the Middle East, pay no attention to campaign rhetoric. That's not what the policies are going to be like. So I hope that Trump doesn't make good on many of his campaign promises, because they scare me, and that's not what I fought for. And so I think protesting is a fundamental right in our country, and it's okay. And people are pissed, and we should let them be pissed. And Trump, it's on Trump now. He's the leader. He can't throw tantrums anymore. He has to be above the fray, and he has to show us in his actions.
No, and I agree with you, Sean. I just think it's rather hypocritical for those same folks to now be protesting when they had the same complaints about Donald Trump, that he threw tantrums, and that when we were speaking of a potential of a rigged election, they laughed in our faces and they said that there's no way, and that undermines the integrity of the election when you don't accept the outcome. And then now that it didn't go in their favor, it seems rather hypocritical for them to be in the streets protesting. I know that they don't like Trump. I know that that wasn't their choice. However, this is a system in which we live under, and I think that it is important in the United States to accept the outcome of an election. Now, you can protest whatever you want, and you're right, that is our fundamental right to protest, but I don't know if they're making themselves look good through this process. I don't know if we would set them next to civil rights leaders and say that they are, hand in hand with that kind of a protest, because to me it really doesn't seem like so. It seems more like crying and belly aching.
I think that because Trump won the election, now he should transition and not throw the tantrums, the 3 a.m. Twitter fights that he was throwing before. But I think that as citizens, and also I want to clarify, I don't think anybody's not accepting the outcome of the election. I think we all recognize that Trump won, and it looks like Trump won fair and square. So there's nobody saying that, but they're still pissed that he is going to be our next president because of the rhetoric. I know. My son's babysitter is a young woman of Pakistani descent, and her sister, who lives in Alabama, was grabbed and accosted yesterday at a gas station by Trump supporters yelling racial epithets at her. And that's heartbreaking. She was just getting gas.
Yeah, but, to be fair, Sean, that there are plenty of never Trumpers and people that are not Trump supporters, whether they're Hillary supporters, I'm not sure, but they're certainly not Trump supporters that have also accosted Trump supporters. I mean, there are stories back and forth on either end, and then we also know through Project Veritas that the DNC, as well as the Clinton campaign, was directly involved with inciting violence at Trump rallies. So, I mean, we can't be the pot calling the kettle black now, can we, Sean?
Well, now that Trump is the president-elect, we can. It's incumbent upon him to step up and decry that sort of thing.
Don't you think he did that, though? Did you see his victory speech? Were you impressed?
Say again?
Were you impressed with his victory speech? Because I think that he really did echo a togetherness message and a unity message, and he said, I want to be the president for all Americans, and he opened his arms to everyone. I was very impressed with it. What was your reaction?
I think that Trump has done a very good job since his election night speech. He's doing a great job of being inclusive. However, if the last 20 months are any indication, I'm concerned. I'm worried. But I'm open to being proven wrong. The best thing for our country is that he proves that all of us wrong, and that he promotes an inclusive government that supports freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of worship, and freedom to assemble. But if he undermines the values on that, especially in the area of national security, myself and people like me will be there to fight and make sure that he doesn't undermine our country and all the progress that we've made over the past 200 plus years.
Well, Shannon, let me say this. I'm right there with you. I will continue to hold his feet to the fire as well, because first and foremost, I'm an American, and I do have hope that he will be a great president. And I'm glad that you share in that sentiment as well, because we all want what's best for this country. I said the same thing in 2008 and 2012. I don't want Barack Obama to fail. I don't want our nation to fail, and they are now the leaders of our nation, and Trump will be the leader of our nation. So I'm glad that we have a positive message moving forward, and I promise you that if Trump does misstep and he does compromise our national security, I'll be the first one to criticize him for it, because that's what a good American should do. Sean, thank you for being.
I have a quick question for you. Are you going to be? Has he reached out to you to be the press secretary yet? We're pulling. My son and I are hoping we can get an invite to the Easter egg roll.
Well, you know what? No, that has not yet happened. And Sean, I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty confident in my abilities. At 24 years old, I don't think I am qualified to be a press secretary at this stage. Give me a few years, perhaps. But right now, I'm just going to continue to do final thoughts and make Hillary jokes. Maybe a little less now that she lost. I got to give her a little bit of credit for her concession speech, and hope that she just gracefully goes off into the sunset, back to the Clinton Foundation. But Sean, thanks for being with me tonight. I always appreciate our conversations.
Thanks, Tommy. Have a great night.
Up next, what does President Trump mean for our energy policies? Founder of the Center for Industrial Progress and author of The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels, Alex Epstein, weighs in. That's next. Welcome back. Now, you know I say drill, baby, drill, and frack, baby, frack. Hillary actually said it once, too, but then she changed positions. Shocking. But she lost, so who cares? I want to know what Trump is going to do with our American energy revolution. Here with his advice, I welcome founder of the Center for Industrial Progress and author of The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels, Alex Epstein. Alex, we have a great week for Trump supporters. I'm not sure if you were a Trump supporter or not, but this is our president, and you were telling me before we started the show that you expected him to win, that you felt as though he was going to pull this out.
Yeah, so I actually don't say whom I voted for, because my focus, the thing I can contribute to, is encouraging people to have the best policy. So now that he's the president, I have a lot to say about what the policy should be.
Right. And he hasn't had a lot of opportunity to speak on energy policy. I think I know where his position lies because of the things that he has said. But are you encouraged by what his potential energy policy would be, or at least maybe rolling back some regulation?
The things he said on energy are actually the best that anyone has said in several decades. I don't agree with him on many other things, but on energy, he said really, really good things. I think the question is, can he really sell the public on his energy agenda? And in particular, can he address the kind of concerns about CO2 that are raised? And that's where I think I can help him and other Republicans to really understand how to make the full case for fossil fuels, instead of just making the case to your base, but ignoring the arguments of the people who disagree with you.
And I think that that'd be great advice. And I think a lot of folks, even folks like myself who believe in our energy revolution and believe in American energy, believe in fossil fuels, sometimes we're met with that resistance and we don't know how to get out of it, because we speak to environmentalists, we speak to those on the hard left as well that believe climate change is the end-all be-all. And we think that we're in the midst of a man-made apocalypse because of CO2 and because of climate change. And we don't always know the best narrative to advance and the best way to speak to those on that side. So what would your advice be? What is some simple ways that we can combat that?
I think the number one thing to say is, look, what's the best energy policy? It's the one that most advances human flourishing here and around the world. And so to figure that out, we have to look at both the benefits and the costs, and we need to look at them carefully. And I think it's clear that the benefits of liberating America's energy opportunity far outweigh any negatives of CO2. The CO2 levels are increasing, but they're very manageable, and we've shown that. People aren't dying in droves from climate. Actually, fewer people are dying from climate because they have more energy to combat climate. So if you acknowledge that CO2 is a real thing, but it's not a catastrophic thing, and you acknowledge that there's an amazing opportunity with American energy that would be catastrophic to ignore, I think you can win over a lot of people and get rid of the climate denier smear term.
No, I think it's important as well. And we know that if Hillary would have won, thank goodness she didn't, it would be a continuation of Obama's policies. I heard her in numerous debates saying that we need to rely more on solar and on wind and alternative energy sources. That's a line that both the left and the right uses. But you and I have had these conversations before. Fossil fuels aren't the enemy. Coal isn't the enemy. Oil is not the enemy. Fracking is not the enemy. And I think one of the reasons that Trump was able to win, and you and I discussed this before we started the show, was because he was able to tap into the American worker. And a lot of those American workers may work in steel, might work in coal, might work in good old American energy, and he was able to tap into that. So how do you think he was able to do it and turn those surprising numbers?
Yeah, I think people have completely missed this story because the left tends to think of themselves as the ally of the worker because they offer the worker the unearned. And they think that's what workers want, the unearned. And if you look at what Trump did and how he spoke to workers, he said, I don't want you to have the unearned. I want you to be free to earn what you deserve. And so he embraced them as producers, not as parasites. And so the left views workers as parasites who want to suck more out of everyone else. And Trump treated the workers as producers. And I think he really resonated with them. And I think we should view workers that way in general. And we should liberate them to be more productive, not give them handouts.
No, I think it's important as well because you're right. The Democrats have had a hand in taking the union vote for many, many, many years. And in states that have been solidly blue, and he was able to turn them red because he went to them and instead of saying, you're 100% right on that, instead of saying, I'm going to give you more, I'm going to give you more entitlements, he said, I'm going to allow you to fulfill your potential. I'm going to allow you to be a worker and to fulfill whatever you need to do to take care of your family and bring your jobs back. So I think that's important. But I know that there are a lot on the right even that are concerned with his trade policies, and that kind of goes in some ways hand in hand with energy. Do you have concerns there as far as our free marketplace and capitalism and what he could do to shift that? I know that's a concern for left and right.
Well, I think the issue that should be focused on is the restrictions in productivity caused by today's anti-human, anti-technology environmental movement. There's the issue of trade, which I have a lot to say on, but this is my real issue, that people are forbidden from development. People are forbidden from making industrial progress, hence Center for Industrial Progress. And so we need to liberate them, and everyone should be able to agree on that. So if you see Americans losing jobs, sectors closing down, one question is, how does that have to do with trade and automation? The other thing is, how does that have to do with restrictions on production? And you have a whole movement of people who say it's wrong to develop new things. It's wrong to impact the planet. That's what production is. Well, is it any surprise that we develop less if we have an anti-development movement and an anti-development philosophy in our culture? So that's my number one priority to change.
Well, and I think Donald Trump has a good track record of that in his own life, being a builder, being someone that markets and sells American goods and services. So I'm hopeful in that he will remove some of those restrictions and regulations, and he will allow the small businesses as well as the large companies to flourish in this country, bring jobs back, and be productive. And you're right, that is what we need in the United States. It's a big task to take on, but I think that he's the right man for the job. Though, what do you think the next 5 years are going to look like? I mean, I'm hoping for a Trump re-election after 4, and I'm hoping we have 8. But if that's not the case, if those on the hard left are able to convince folks that climate change is, the coming apocalypse and we do need to change, and they do convince folks that industrial progress is the enemy in the next 4 years for whatever reason, what is the future of American energy? Where do we go from here? How do we make sure that we are still producing and taking part in an energy revolution?
Well, so I don't do predictions, I just do advice. And I think this is the time when any of us who are at all aligned with Republicans, and as a free marketer who's much more free market than most Republicans, I'd say I'm more aligned with Republicans than Democrats on economic issues. I'd say I don't predict what they're going to do. I'm saying, like, look, you have to embrace what I call America's energy opportunity. I actually set up a platform. I hope Donald Trump rips it off. It's at americasenergyopportunity.com, and it says, look, we've got the opportunity of a generation here to unleash all of this amazing energy potential. We've got the ingenuity. We've got the raw material to do it. And here's the moral argument for why this is the right thing to do. Here's why CO2 shouldn't be holding us back. And here's why we should embrace every energy source that can compete on a free market, including things like nuclear and hydro. So I think the future is undetermined. So let's have the Republicans, whatever Donald Trump's issues, I want him to embrace the best part of his platform, which is actually energy. And I want the other Republicans to push it. And I think my number one thing to them is they need good messaging. They need clarity and they need clear messaging. And so my focus is 100% on that. And I think if they do that, they can win over a lot of people. If they let the Democrats and the liberals and the environmentalists keep reframing the narrative as, do you believe in climate change or not? If you believe in climate change, you're anti-fossil fuels. If that continues, then we're going to lose.
Because they're great at messaging, and they've been great at it for so long. I think we're starting to understand that we need to change our messaging. I think we saw that with Donald Trump, making the message clear, direct, simple to understand, and able for others like yourself to go out and bring that message to more people. And that's exactly what you're doing, because you recently moved to San Francisco. So have fun with that, my friend.
It's going really well. You know, I'll tell Donald Trump, you know, my messaging works in San Francisco. So.
Well, there we go. Well, you know what? We need to get you in tune with that campaign and now the new president-elect, because I think that you have a strong voice there, and I hope that he certainly does listen to you, because I think we've got a bright future if so. So, Alex, as always,
good to see
thanks
you.
for being here. And I always love your book. It's beautiful and it's easy to understand, so I encourage people to check that out as well. But still ahead, let's check in with one of those never-Trumpers. I think I won a little bet the other night, and someone in this very building has a Trump hat with his name on it. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, the other night I made a little bet with my friend Jason. I should have bet more. I should have put money or hot cheese on it, but here's a reminder.
I want to make a bet right now. Okay, so I'm not even going to say if he wins, because that's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
If he wins Virginia, can we make a bet?
Okay.
You have to wear my Make America Great Again hat all day tomorrow.
Oh, I'll do that.
All day tomorrow. I mean, like all day, and I'm going to document it.
Okay.
And you have to wear that. And
But if he doesn't, you have to wear a McMullen hat?
well, I like him though. That's the thing though, Dave. Like, I like him. I think he's a good guy.
So Trump won the whole dang thing, and now Jason must make America great again. Joining me now, the Glenn's chief researcher, Jason Buttrill. All right, Jason.
There it is, my crow.
And you know what? Actually, it's a gift, because it's a beautiful hat. I got that from Trump Tower, by the way.
I need this autographed, I think, by the way, too, just to fully commemorate this.
Yeah.
We'll get that later.
All right.
But you know what? They cut off my portion of it. That looks pretty good. That does look good.
It doesn't look bad, right?
They cut off my section. What were you going to have to do?
I was going to have to wear a pantsuit, but she didn't even win. I mean, it's not, we were like, I was still thinking that he was still going to lose. I was like, I'm not going to make a huge bet here. I should have bet more. But he won. I know. How shocked were you? I know we were sitting in the same room, but at some point in the night, I think we got a little delirious, and I didn't even see kind of the reaction. I was so focused on paying attention to my own just excitement that I didn't even really get the tone of some of the folks in the room. But were you shocked?
Yeah, the entire room was looking at polls based off of 2012. So we were like, okay, sure, he's up in Florida, he's up here, he's up there, Michigan, all that stuff. But then we were looking at it and we're like, well, this is exactly how it was in 2012. Romney was also leading very similarly, and at the very end, they started counting Detroit, they started counting, you know, Dade County, all that stuff, and then Obama just totally overtook him. So we were just freaked out when those final, like, when they were really starting to get down to like 99%, we were like, wait a minute, so Dade County is already reported. Okay, Detroit is reporting. So how is this happening? Like, everyone was blown away. I tell you what, I was talking to somebody, and they said, we were looking through the research, we were like, this is probably the most historically bad polling that we've ever seen. I mean, this is a huge historic mistake on the polls.
Because the mainstream media and the pollsters and the naysayers, they read this whole thing wrong. They didn't get us. They didn't get the campaign. They didn't get how we went about it. They didn't get the connection we were able to make, because a lot of those folks didn't come to a Trump rally. They didn't see it. They didn't go out and talk to Trump supporters like I did. And people that I would never expect to be Trump supporters, they didn't see the excitement in those folks that you wouldn't expect. So it was a surprise to me, but for some reason, I kind of felt like we were going to surprise everyone, and I was really excited about it. But
you know,
my goodness.
I remember Trump saying we're going to have a Brexit-style, you know, shock here.
And you said that on the live feed as well.
Yeah, I remember listening to that and kind of dismissing it. But when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, yeah, that's exactly what they were saying afterwards. They're like, I was talking to people over in the UK, and I was like, well, how'd you guys screw this up this badly? And I'm like, I don't know. Everyone I was talking to was saying that, you know, we're going to defeat this, no problem. Well, the problem is the people they were talking to was all the elites. All the elites that wanted like that globalist agenda to go forward. They weren't even talking to, you know, the Brits that were in the factories or the Brits that were in towns like Michigan towns that have factories. That they weren't talking to them and asking them, well, what do you really need? Well, they don't care about all this globalist crap. All they know is that all this globalist crap is destroying their towns, destroying their jobs. The exact same thing happened here. Every single mainstream person was going to Columbia University, or they're going to places like that, you know, or the New York Times, or whoever else, all the elites and the rest of the mainstream media. They weren't actually looking into the faces of the people that were going to lose their farms, that were going to lose their factories. I mean, it really was pretty genius. It was a genius master stroke for I mean, we're looking at the polls that night, and we were looking at the states that he was winning, and it was that beltway. It was all those, you know, all along the East Coast.
And he knew it. That's why he spent so much time there, because he knew that they were in play, because he spoke to those people. He really tapped into something. Now, I know that you voted for Evan McMullen. I know that you were one of those never-Trumpers, as was everyone else in the room, apart from myself and Chris Salcedo at the beginning. So I know that there are some, and that night I heard it over and over and over again, that they were going to accept the outcome, but they weren't happy about it. And everyone was preaching doomsday for not only the country, but the Republican Party, the conservative movement. Are you in that camp? Do you think it's over for us now? Do you think that the world is over and this is the worst thing that could have happened?
Not at all. Let me tell you, most of the stuff I look at here is like foreign policy stuff, global stuff. And I woke up the next morning and I was listening to some people talk on TV, and they were talking about how, well, we don't really know what a Trump foreign policy is going to be. We have no idea. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, that makes me kind of really excited, because we have a historic chance, an opportunity to change 12 years of mistakes going all the way back to George W. We have an opportunity to change all that. Now, if Hillary would have come in, we knew exactly what we were getting. We knew exactly things were not going to change. The downhill trend we've been on, with basically the United States as a laughingstock to the rest of the world, is now has the opportunity to be over with. He can change it. Now, and that extends to domestic policy as well. Literally, I mean, I hate to say this and add fuel to my crow that I'm eating here, but I think that we're in a very good position to be in right now. We're fully red. I mean, I never thought before, like, you couldn't say if Hillary won that she was going to put in possibly Mike Lee as the next Supreme Court justice, and we could actually challenge Roe v. Wade. I mean, he actually could. I don't know how the rest of viewers feel about that. I think that'd be very cool myself, but it wasn't even an opportunity before. But those are the opportunities, whether you believe in that or not. Those opportunities are on the table now. They never would have been before. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I think this was a great opportunity. I think people are going to be surprised. And I think Stu said it. I said it in my final thoughts the other night. Everyone counted him out. Everyone was wrong about him from the start. From the moment he came down the escalator, before he came down the escalator, everyone was wrong about him. So now to say that you think he's going to be a bad president, they were wrong this whole time. They're going to be wrong again. And people say, oh, well, his ego. I think his ego is the best thing he has going for him, because he wants to be successful so badly that I think that he is going to learn. He's going to bring great people around him. He's going to do what he does best, and he's going to bring in others that do what they do best. And I think we're going to have a really great next 4 years. And it's going to be different than what we would have had with anyone else. Even if we had Cruz in there, I don't think we would have seen change. I don't.
Yeah. I hope you're right. I hope he does. It's too early to call for me to say that he's going to be great, and I can't wait for his reelection. But it's our job now. It's now on us to hold him to the fire. You promised to do this, this, and this. This is the opportunity we have. Now, we have to continue to push that. Those people in the media, those people that have a voice, we have to push it. We cannot let this go. I mean, literally, like I said, this is a historic opportunity. We have to hold him to the fire and push it. Now, the people that are like the rioters now, what are you doing? I mean, literally, like, I literally think this is like the first time millennials have lost an election. You think about it. They voted for Obama twice. They're like, hey, you know, we've never lost. We're going to keep going. Now the first time they've tasted a little defeat, they're just folding like a cheap suit.
I don't even think it's because they tasted defeat. I think that they've gotten so used to protesting and rioting over everything. This is just the next thing to get attention. This is just a next thing to be a part of. And it's, you know, I'm going to weigh in on my final thoughts on that. Last thing, though, because I know that we are both very concerned with national security, and I know that you've got a pulse on that as well. And I do want to say that I know from folks that I've talked to that are serving right now that ISIS is afraid. They are shaking in their boots right now. I don't think they would have been shaking in their boots if Hillary would have been our president. I think they would have said, we got him right where we want him. But the thought of a President Trump coming in, I think the rest of the world is kind of taking a step back and going, ooh, the United States is back. Right. And I think it's a healthy sense of fear. What is your take on it?
I think that at this point, I think the fear would come from they don't really know. They know that what they've been able to do, which enabled them to come to power, was a whole lot of inaction and a whole lot of us chasing other random agendas. Now, they don't know how he's going to respond to that. Now, this is how I really want to, I hope that we can get into their ear, the advisors around Trump and Trump himself. I hope we can get into his ear and say, this is what we want. Now, you've told us that you're not going to be nation building. You're not going to be pursuing those types of agendas. Now, and that's great. Continue along those lines. But look, send the 1st Marine Division and stick them right on top of Raqqa. Just do that. I mean, once and for all, completely and utterly get rid of them. That's how we won World War II.
And that sends such a message. It really does send a great message. You know, but speaking of that, and I wish we had more time because, you know, I'm still in my victory glow. But speaking of that, we've got a special birthday to congratulate the United States on right now, and that's the United States Marine Corps. And I know that you're a Marine at heart as well, and you served our country as a Marine. So thank you for your service, and happy birthday to the Marine Corps.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful hat you have on. And you know what? I have got to say, everyone that wears a Make America Great Again hat, they just look happy. Like, you can't wear that hat and not be happy.
We're going to do another bet, Tommy, because I want to see you in that pantsuit. And I think that everybody else wants to, too. So we're going to have to think of something else to bet on.
Okay. Well, I know, but the last thing, and I know we got to go. What happens to her now?
Oh,
Does she just crawl into a hole and just go away, or what does she do?
She's done. She's completely done.
Well, she's done, but what does she do after this? I mean,
hopefully goes to prison. How about that?
Well, do you think that he's really going to pursue that, though?
I hope he does assign a special prosecutor. I truly hope he does that. I don't know how far that'll go, but look, the Clintons, that's their lane. They're in their lane in scandal and defeating scandal. So I don't think that anything will happen, but I would love to see her sweat a little bit. I'd love it, and I hope that he applies that heat. I really do.
It's almost like kind of like you're beating a dead horse, though. I was just like, I want to make a deal with Hillary. Like, okay, Hillary, we're going to let you do what you did and just go away and just never come back.
Yeah.
Just, what was that, The Lion King when they said that? Go far, far away to where the sun doesn't shine on the rocks, and that is your land, Scar.
Yes.
Go, Scar. Go far, far away. Take Bill with you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you for having an optimistic message. I hope that others in the building share your view. But next, it's Victory Week, but don't forget about another celebration. That's Veterans Day, and that's this Friday. And my next guest wants to do more than talk about it. How does farming help our warriors with PTSD? Find out next. Welcome back. Now, there is no group closer to my heart than veterans, and tomorrow happens to be Veterans Day. Shopping for discount mattresses and a day off work is great, but it's not the point. Our warriors deserve your attention. Take a look.
Soldiers are doing so many deployments these days. My son is on his 5th deployment, just got back. He still has 10 years. Every time he comes back, he's a little different. And I saw that in me when I got back after my 3rd deployment. You come back and you're a little different every time.
FARM stands for Farmers Assisting Returning Military. We make sure that those veterans have the resources that they need to get well. We offer opportunities here on the farm to get them involved in agriculture and have a new mission, not just a job. I want to save every single life. I don't want to see another veteran commit suicide. It's just a waste.
Joining me now, the co-founder of Farm Vet, Stephen Smith. Stephen, what a wonderful message to send, and something that's so outside of the box, and I love it. So tell me about Farm Vet. What do you guys do? What's the mission, and how do you accomplish it?
Our mission is to expand opportunities in agriculture to veterans. James Jeffers, my co-founder, and I found agriculture to be a new mission, to be healing for ourselves, and we wanted to pass that along to our brothers. After losing, it's 11 to suicide now, you can't just wake up and blame it on the VA or the government or whomever to fix it for you. A lot of it's fallen on the shoulders of the veteran service organizations across the country that are picking up the slack where maybe the VA doesn't do its job the way that we would think it could. So whether they're overwhelmed or underfunded, it doesn't matter. Veteran to veteran is always what works the best.
Well, you know how to take care of your own the best, and you know what they need the best. Now, the VA is great for medical services, and we hope that it can become better.
Sure.
We're hoping that with, the change in regime here, that we're going to have better services at the VA. But even beyond that, I mean, there's only so much that the VA can do as far as medications, as far as therapy. But this and other organizations that I've worked with, going outside of the box, whether it be service animals, whether it be things like farming, and a sense of belonging. I find that speaking to a lot that have served like yourself, thank you for your service, when they come back, they miss that sense of belonging. They miss being a part of something. When you provide that, it really changes the game. So why farming?
It provides both those things you're talking about. Our farm provides the camaraderie, the veteran-to-veteran interaction is super important. Farming is almost a distraction. The farming itself is healing. Putting your hands in the dirt every day is a form of meditation. And being able to grow something and give back to your family, your community, it's really a perfect fit for a veteran because it's low pay, hard work, and good reward.
What you're used to, and you get to be around good folks as well. And that's what's, to me, is what's most important. And watching that PSA there, it really breaks my heart because I think that we've seen that time and time again. Every time they go through deployment, they come back. No one ever thinks they're going to change, but in small ways, there are changes. I mean, I don't think you can go through something like that and not change.
It's
but
undeniable.
but when they can come back and have a place to belong and know that there are people there that are ready and willing, not just because it's their job, but because it's what they want to do,
right.
providing that for those that have served our country. Thank you for everything that you've done. I encourage everyone to check out your website as well and become a part of it. There are so many ways that we can go beyond the government, beyond the VA, and just go veteran to veteran, and it's about getting the word out. So thank you for everything you've done. I know that you were telling me as well on your farm you've got some Marines, it's Marine Corps birthday, and we know we respect all of our military members the same. Lastly, where can they go? I know we had the website up there. Where can they go to help you out, to raise awareness for what you guys are doing?
www.farmvet.org. You can go there and find out how you can volunteer, how you can donate, how you can help recruit veterans so that we can help them.
Yeah, so they know where to go. I mean, that's the best place as well, getting the word out and through social media. And what a fantastic job you're doing. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Happy Veterans Day. And next, what do you call a bunch of sore losers packing the streets, protesters, or toddlers? My final thoughts are next. We'll be right back. Time for final thoughts. Half of the country is angry right now. I get it. But before we start calling the reaction a protest, let's get something straight. A protest is a peaceful objection to a grievance. A bunch of sore losers occupying a space is called a tantrum, and that's exactly what we're seeing around the nation after Trump's historic and earned victory. And isn't it ironic the same people who condemn Trump and Trump supporters for intolerance and closed-mindedness are now angry and downright hostile because their candidate lost? Listen, if y'all wanted her to win so badly, you should have had that kind of enthusiasm before Tuesday night, but you didn't, and that's how it goes. It's funny because these same people laughed at Trump supporters for fearing a rigged election. But here's the deal. Don't forget, it's the Republican Party that suffers because of voter fraud, and it's Republican leaders who fight for voter ID laws. Just saying. Furthermore, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we experienced mass protests after Obama won in 2008 or 2012. No riots or mass tantrums televised for the world to see. Why? Two reasons. I guess Republicans lose with grace, and second, most aren't afforded time in the middle of a work week to congregate and throw a fit because they have to work. We have to work so you can protest the man while benefiting from the entitlements the man affords you. So there's that. These protesters are typical snowflake millennials. They feel slighted because they didn't want Trump to win, and it's not fair. They wanted Hillary, so it just should have happened. The entitlement mentality on steroids mixed with a new version of social justice, a version where anything the left does is just and everything else is intolerant. But one of the criticisms and backhanded insults tossed around by the mainstream to explain Trump's win was uneducated voters. Yeah, those without a college degree. Somehow a piece of paper has now become the standard for intelligence and the new bar for an educated voter. Well, let's take a look at some educated voters. Attending college does not make one smarter, classier, or anything else. I'm really tired of those on the right and left talking down to Trump supporters like we're dum-dums. Some of us have degrees, some of us don't, but most of us are hardworking people that have built businesses, families, served our country, and followed the law. If you think that makes us any less than you, you're dead wrong. But it's no longer Trump supporters versus Hillary supporters. That's over. That ended Tuesday night. President-elect Donald Trump has opened his arms to all Americans, so it's up to you now. No one is asking you to bow at his feet, but your protests and tantrums aren't doing anything for this country. You have every right to do it, but you're just kind of making fools of yourselves at this point, and that's up to you. Those are my final thoughts. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tomi Lahren. From Dallas, good night and take care.